and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite TV channel, Zaftra Africa. Today's segment, Voice of Africa, presents to you a very educational topic called multilingualism. Before that, I would like to announce that we are sponsored by Tanzania Tour. In case you're interested in visiting Mount Kilimanjaro, the beautiful island of Zanzibar, please like, share and subscribe and join our touring agency, Tanzania Joy Tour. Also, if you feel hungry and you want to have a taste of African dishes from Ghana, Zimbabwe, all sorts of dishes, you are always welcome to Wakanda Kitchen. It's also one of our very trusted partners and you are always invited. So, coming back to our topic, what is multilingualism? So multilingualism is the use of more than one language, either by an individual or a community of speakers. And it is stated that at the moment in the world, the number of people who know more than one language is more than those who are monolinguistic. Today, I, host Jenny Okai, present to you this topic with my guests Frank and Michael. So guys, this topic is very interesting because in the wake of this situation, it came up on the internet, on the news, that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ghana, Shirley Bachwe, she confirms that the Ghanaian government is now coming to adopt French language as its second language, in addition to the English language. So what are your first thoughts on this, Michael?
Well, my first thought were like, I've tried to see the reasoning behind this argument, and the first one, like she said that to compensate with the francophone neighbors, like in Ivory Coast and some of the Ghanaian neighbor countries. And the first reasoning is that, and the second one is that she said like to integrate our education system with the French education system. Well, it makes sense, both of them.
Do you think it's a brave move by the Ghanaian Ministry of Education?
There is nothing brave about it, but it's a smart move. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to say it's a brave move, I don't know.
Because you know, some people have this sort of argument that why not a local language instead?
Oh, of course.
Sudden jump.
There are plenty of reasons for that. First of all, when we make some language like an international language to our own, when we adopted it, we want something from it. That thing is like transfer of knowledge. You understand?
Yes.
For example, one particular language have particular ways to say words and phrases, paraphrases and things like that in a specific way, which can be helpful. For example, let's take one Ghanaian local language. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not well informed on that.
Like tree, for example.
Go on. Okay. And that particular language, right? It may not have the perfect kind of vocabulary for applied physics. Mm-hmm. You understand? Yeah. Which the French language can compensate. So I think it's a bold move. It's a great move.
Yeah. And what about Ethiopia? What can you say about this kind of? Do you also have this issue of, having another language being added to your first official language? Can you tell us briefly about Ethiopia?
Sure, of course I can tell you that. We don't have any other official language except for Amharic. That's because, the colonization effect, we don't have that, so we don't have anything. But there is an interesting story. Back in the communism era of Ethiopia, they want to change everything. They want to drop English as an international learning language, and they want to use the Amharic language as an educational language, right? But it couldn't work because we don't have enough vocabulary to compensate or compartmentalize the language. So basically, we don't have anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So people resort to learning English so they can understand better these kinds of sciences.
People doesn't resort to learn, but the government pushed it toward us.
So it's part of the syllabus.
Yeah. So that's it. That's basically it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And Frank from Cameroon, can you tell us something about the situation in Cameroon right now? I've heard your country's partitioned into two states, the Anglophone, the Francophone. How does it work?
Actually, in Cameroon, it's not really peaceful. It's not really that cool as before. Yeah, Cameroon is a bilingual country. We have French and English as official languages. But I think as far as the French part, the French speakers contain 70% of the population, and the English part is almost 30%. They're 30%. So by the problem is that the French part, where people, they are not really into learn English. So the country is bilingual. The people, they are not really bilingual. So that's the point. That's what.
But how did it come about? How did it partition into Anglophone, Francophone? Was it due to the colonial influence? Or something else?
Definitely. Cameroon actually is two countries that came together.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a southern Cameroon was colonized by British, and the French part, that's La République, was colonized by the French. So before colonialism, before the war, Cameroon was was colonized by German. So it was a German territory, colony. Yeah, we can say that. But after the war, German, they lost the war. The French and British, France and England, they divided the country. Yeah, after.
But both sides know the opposite language, right? The language of the opposite state, right?
Yeah.
How is it like?
Yeah. How it works? It was, first of all, Cameroon was one country. Like before, France and England was a full country. But after the war, France and England, they were in the war and they divided the country. England took a part and had on Nigeria, and like the 30% had on Nigeria, and then the other part was ruled by France. After independence now, they did what they did, and they came together again. So actually, the French part, the French dominated that 70%. So they don't really try to speak English as their counterpart Anglophone.
So you are expected to know French, like maybe by the government, since it's the ruling language, right, in Cameroon.
And it's
given more priority over English.
I would say no. There's not a priority between languages, because it states in the constitution that English and French are state languages. So there's not like one or it's above other. No.
Okay, so they are both on the both official languages.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. But as I say, the country is bilingual, but people are not bilingual. Yeah, so that's where the problem in Cameroon has come from.
Yeah. So then, what defines an official language? So what makes a language qualified to be official, Michael? In Ethiopia, for example, do you think English has the prospects to be maybe a second official language? And what would be the reaction of the citizens of Ethiopia?
All right. Okay. That's a big question actually. So I would rather look at it from different perspectives to answer your question. First of all, you asked me like what makes a language official or what qualifies it.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, the civilization around it. For example, a particular civilization can allow a language to be great. For example, look at the Western civilization. So during the time come and go, right now English is the epitome of Western civilization, right? So we have the English language to be qualified as the perfect way of communication throughout the world, right? And then let me take you back to the Hellen era, during the Hellenization of Europe, right? Greece was like almost the international language as such.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Basically, expansion of civilization can make one language qualify to be qualified to be an international language.
Over the other.
Yeah. And then when we come to Ethiopia, the English language has become significant. I can say in the last 60 years, because we used to use Ge'ez, the official church language, because the church was the education center for the Ethiopian people.
Yes, and that's quite interesting because you said it's considered to be the Hebrew, Ethiopian Hebrew language.
Kind of,
So what are the similarities between these two?
The similarities is they're from the same root. They are Semites, Semitic language. Yeah. So we have the same words with Arabic and things like that. We have the Shemite language basically. So that's the influence. But when you come to the church, it gives everything what Ethiopia got. It's the civilization of the church. And then during the 15th century, this language, the Ge'ez language, was overrated by the Amharic, because the current type, at that particular time, the civilization was in the Amhara regions. Or Amhara means like mountains. So that's how it intermingles in our history, basically.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and Frank, what about in Cameroon? I know both languages are official, but what do you think a language needs to be able to become official in Africa?
Actually, I want to agree 100% about what you say, because for me, there's not a scale to read languages. All languages are equal. I will say that. All languages are equal. It's how you decide to use the language that it's how you define it and how you decide to use it that make it valuable. Here, the point will be about how valuable is the language. Coming to Cameroon, we have two languages, as I say, French and English. But apart from that two languages, we have again more than 200 local languages. So yeah, I won't say it's the languages that I will call them languages, not dialects.
And do you know any of them? How many of them do you, if not a secret?
I know two. Yeah,
Can you name them?
200. I know Douala. Yeah, I know Fefe. I know also a little bit about Hausa. Yeah.
It's also spoken in Ghana, by the way.
Yeah, Hausa is
Northern Ghana.
Northern Ghana, also Senegal, I think. Now, how can a language be official, right? And that was the question.
Yes, the requirements to qualify a language, to be official.
That first of all, it depends on the people. Depend of the vision that they have. As I say, languages are equal. There's no such a thing like one language is better than another. No. If it can be written, it can be if you can read, if you can write, then it's okay. It's qualified to be a language. Now it depends about your aspiration, about the kind of country you want. Today, English seems to be international language, but before English, it was another language.
Yes, that's
so
true.
English has never was not established as a universal language, international language from the beginning. So it depends on the value. Yeah, it depends on the value you give to the language. If I have to decide, if I was like a government member, I would say, let's choose a local language to do our thing, right?
So then what do you think is the reasoning of the Ghanaian Foreign Ministry Affairs, the lady who spoke out? Why do you think they made this leap to take French and not a local language?
Yeah, I read what she some reason, and I mean it's kind of is unstable, right? Because she mentioned about the economic strategy around Ghana. There are more French-speaking language.
Yes, all countries basically are francophone.
Yeah. And coming to that point, Ghana also is located in West Africa. And Ghana is aspired to be a great country. Around Ghana, you have in West Africa you have Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger than Ghana, and in terms of population, it's almost twice. Because Ghana is more than 200 million, 201 to be precise, 201,962 or 477. That's the population. In Ghana, you have less than 30 million. So Ghana found itself that we cannot compete with Nigeria economically. We can't compete with them because the population is very impactful, and other countries speaking English like Nigeria is already a market for Nigeria. So how now that means that that's where the point is very smart. She said, okay, we can't compete with Nigeria for now, and other countries speaking English are almost under Nigeria. So how can we have a market? How can we impact our economy? The neighbor countries, Ivory, right? They speak French. Other is Senegal and Mali. Yeah, if now we try to get in this market, we can really find ourselves in this market because we have the same size as the country, population almost the same. So how can we get inside the market and be powerful? They have to learn the language. Yes. That's very smart.
So
that's very smart. Yeah.
Yes.
In business, that's very smart. I agree on that point. Now, but taking the way she put it, the Ghana government, they put the language as a national official language.
Yes, officially, and they declared it. So
And that's where
yeah.
I got hurt. They can use it as a business language, like they want to improve their economy. Yeah, that's understandable. But to make it as a official language, you have some languages in Ghana. I don't know.
For example, Tree is the widely spoken language in Ghana. Yes.
Yeah, that language can be the official language. The second, they can use that as official language because the whole Ghana speak that. What is it again? Tree. Yeah, if you go there, you speak Tree, everybody will understand. But if you speak French, I'm not sure. If you go to Accra and speak French, I'm not sure. Maybe 5% of Accra population or people.
Yes, this is a strategy for the future. It's a plan for the future.
Yeah, that's economically is impactful. It's very smart. But about now culture, about identity, I think is the wrong way because I'm not against a language or against a country, but I don't want to be to feel myself to like before English and French there was language in Ghana, right?
Yes, of course.
Before independent, before colonization and all those stuff, they were and when you have your own language, you are almost independent. That's really independence. We Africans think they say they have independence, but not yet. We are still dependent on other language. When my brother say they use foreign languages because it's very understandable in mathematics or physics. No, for me, like in Cameroon, the language of my dad's side, Fefe, and maybe Hausa. I feel very comfortable when somebody explains the subject of mathematics or physics in that languages. Like I feel very comfortable. It's like it's sweet. Like I don't know.
So it makes you feel at home, like with the
exactly.
person.
I understand more than
so that's a good. That's a good point made.
According to Ghana government, yeah, economically, using French as a business language is very smart. But about the culture and the identity is not. I'm against. I'm not
You're
really.
against.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Michael? What do you think? Is it a good move by the government?
Well, as I said before, like personally, like I found it to be smart, and as he break it down very well, like it's basically economically it's a good move. But I have to disagree with him, like at some points, like he said that it's kind of sweet when I learn or things like that with my that may be true emotionally, but when you try to see it deeply, like what if your language doesn't have the perfect amount of vocabulary to have such kind of sustain such kind of
because many of the times we see that the language takes implements other other countries' vocabulary.
You can see French, English, and Arabic, right?
Yes.
They have some similarities. In French, you have some French word that are using in English.
So they are taken into the language.
You can just say that. No. What you say is ours is wrong, but it does not fit. You know.
How would you defend the point?
If you like something like example here, we are in Russia, right? Yeah. Russia use English as a second language. It's not official, but
it's not official, but so now they're putting more accent on this
on
language.
English because they need this. They are saying that okay, to be competitive, to explore ourselves to the world, we have to understand this one. And they never made it official. They never made it official, but they use it because it's the need according to the time. Is a must according to the time. But saying that you have to languages are equal. Languages are equal. Even if you don't have all the syntax before colonization, African country they have their own languages. They have language more than 2 or 3. Yeah. So you can't just tell me that they because of that. No.
Let's hear Michael.
Yeah. You see now you completely get my premises wrong. First of all, I'm not like comparing two languages because language defines dignity of a nation. Exactly. So that means when I adopt one language, it doesn't make it like above me. You understand? You have to get that in some kind of notion. First of all. Second of all, I'm not defending in any way, shape, or form like Ghanaians making some language official. Did I say that in anywhere? No. But I said like, if one particular language is not strong enough to sustain a certain kind of academics, we can mingle with it till a certain time, and then, for example, okay, we can exchange words, you understand? For example, when our vocabulary become fully sustainable, and then we can go back to our roots. I mean, let me give you a historical example, 2 examples. First of all, let's take English before the time of William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
William Shakespeare, what makes him really, really great is that he invented 25,000 words of English to make it as strong as it is right now. And then let me tell you back like one very, very prominent example. Let's take the Russian language. Before Alexander Pushkin, how was the Russian literature going on? In French, right?
Yeah, so in French, there was a period of time when
Yeah.
almost everyone was
Exactly.
required.
I was
The elite society,
I was coming
yes,
to
they
that
were
point.
required
Yeah.
to learn
During
French.
it was during Napoleon.
First World War.
No, during
His
was
era.
this area. He really had a powerful hand on Russia.
Sure.
Almost everything was done in French. That's where Pushkin, he studied French, and his granddad, who is also from Africa, used to study in France.
Yeah.
So he used that connection. He used some French word to put it, to give Russian language a good a style.
Mm-hmm.
So that like language for me, language depend about the value you want to give to the language.
Sure. Let me come back on that. So, after the Russians mingled with the French language, took whatever the hell they wanted, took from it, and then they drop it.
Exactly. They drop it.
Right?
But today they are using English.
Oh well, of
Yeah,
course,
but
as I
still-
said before, it's a
Because
cultural and
it's
civilization
it
impact.
must be for now.
Yes, but still Russian
The
has
same thing
some
can be
French
applied,
words,
yes.
but then they dropped it as a whole. Like now it's not really studied on the level of, schools implementing
Exactly.
it on people.
But in Africa, we can also
It's
do
a
the
good
same.
point.
We can also do the same in Africa.
That's
You know,
what- that's exactly what I
if
just
you
said.
see, okay, because this language now is like international. You can steal some word and add on yours, but not just to say, okay, I'm going to embrace that language
Yeah.
fully. Like you are dismantling yourself. Like you are saying, okay, what I have, my identity is not really good. I have to go there. And people still cry about imperialism. That's where imperialism, of course, fit in African countries.
Yes,
Like,
so that's it's a
Yeah.
good
go
point.
when you do a J in English language, and English is not your language, your native language, right? An English person, he has already maybe 10% advantage on you because he's fully on his thing. So
Well,
you
it's all
have-
about perception. Anyway, it's okay.
Okay, so that's it. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back right now. We're going on a short break. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe to Zaftra Africa TV. Don't forget to follow Wakanda Kitchen in case you want to have a taste of Africa. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our commercial break, back to Voice of Africa, where we're having a very interesting, captivating topic on multilingualism. But before that, let's not forget our main sponsors for tonight's show, Tanzania Joy Tour and Wakanda Kitchen. Please share their pages, follow, like, subscribe. You're not going to regret it. Okay, so back to our topic. We were discussing multilingualism, we're making sense of why the governments are making such a leap to make the language official. And we saw that the two of you didn't really agree on certain points. But so now I want to ask the question. So as now you people are not agreeing, there's also a sort of issue going on in some African countries. If we look at the Anglophones and the Francophones, sometimes they have this small tension between them, not only based on language, but also on culture. So do you think by picking one language and making it official is going to strengthen the bonds or, bridge the gaps between their relations? Is it possible?
Sure.
For example, in Ethiopia, can you explain how it's
Of course,
possible?
I can. As I said before, the strongest the strongest civilization or part of civilization will always conquer linguistically, culturally, and whatever. So, as in case of Ethiopia, as I said before, like the church was the civilization, the Amhara people was the culture makers. So we have the Amharic language as an official language. So it's basically is like I can say like it stabilized the country somehow. And if you think about it, like some tribes in Ethiopia just wanna heard their voices heard, but you know we gotta be logical. Yeah, let the most important one rule. Period. And then when you come to the Anglophones and the Francophones and things like that, yeah, it will unite them. Yeah, it will help, I guess. Yeah.
So, whereas, for example, in Ethiopia, what is the closest language to which you relate with other countries? For example, how is which countries surround Ethiopia, and how do you relate with them?
Okay, we are surrounded by Kenyans, Ugandans, the Eritrea. We have in the far north we have Egypt. So basically, we cannot relate to any of them linguistically. But I can say Eritrea, we have the same kind of language. And the northern part, we have the Tigray language. We can share that. And when you go to the northern Africa, like when you think about Egypt, we only share like these Semitic roots, right? That's
yeah,
all.
so the roots of language
yeah,
is the same.
yeah. Our country is a bit.
So apart from that, you don't have any tensions like based on language, nothing like that.
Not that I know of. Maybe tribal tensions.
But it's not to the
linguistic.
extent where it's like a global issue.
Oh no.
Okay,
Oh, no.
so that's.
Yeah.
And Frank, what do you think? Do you think it's possible that very soon the Francophone world is finally going to, strengthen its ties with the Anglophone world?
Actually, the term Francophone and Anglophone, yeah, that's like heritage from colonization. We have to, at some point, we have to stop that kind of thing. We cannot define ourselves according to other people. Coming to some stereotype, like when you see Ghana and you see Togo, maybe Ivory Coast, they have the same culture at some point. We found the same name around, like when you cross the river,
yeah,
we
so
found
the
same
borders
people,
in the Ewe region.
like almost the same people. So I'm not like it will be very easy for them to have one language, like to make them powerful. I cannot really understand why. You say I'm a Ghanaian and you are Togolese, but we have the same name, we share the same culture.
And in fact, many Ghanaians actually are originally from another African country, like Nigeria, Togo. So basically, in Africa, it's all like one nation. People originated from different roots, having different roots.
I was coming to that point. The point I wanted to make is that why not having a single language in Africa or some country?
A dialect,
not a dialect, language. Dialect is like language.
You mean a new language? Found a new.
Not to found. There are some languages that can be used as a African language, like Swahili. Swahili is language that has every characteristic for a language. Right? You wanted to say some stuff. Swahili in Africa we can use Swahili as a national, like African language. I don't country you see Tanzania, Kenya, which country again?
So maybe you mean if we talk about West Africa, maybe you should have one language which unites them. East Africa, a different one,
exactly.
like North and
exactly
different languages.
Having that language will really reduce those tribal war and also other stuff. I think the point now is to try to make our own identity to our own language, but not to forget full language, because you have to.
Yes, lots of benefits to reap. Yes,
when you understand about Russia, they speak Russian. Sweden, they speak their own language. Japanese, Japanese speak Japanese. China, they speak Chinese. So why not having our own? So we cannot only define ourselves according to other people and Anglophone, Francophone. Of course, that's the main. It's not coming to Tukamo as you raise the point. It's not a language. The problem is not about language, but the language is a big factor in that problem.
Yeah. So it's just part of the problem, which is much bigger.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, to answer your question, having a regional language for some country who share the same culture, share some who has everything in common, they can have a language also in common, like Ghana, Togo, Burkina Faso. They can understand themselves. They have the same name. Like when you go to Ghana, you have Kopong. It's a Ghanaian name. It's a Liberian name. It's a Togolese name. So what's the difference between those people?
Yeah, it's a point. It's a good point. So basically, you mean they should use international languages for economy, and then maybe some
national language
unified language for
exactly.
Okay, for
you
Africa.
use foreign language to talk with foreigners, and you use your own language to teach
To speak within your continent.
and teach your people. Exactly.
And do you agree, Michael, on making a unified African language, and how long it's going to take to work this system out?
I'll agree it will be a possibility in the near future, but in right now, I mean, I don't know.
So anything is possible. You're open to anything.
If we try to break that point, like it seems to be difficult, but it's not. It's not.
Listen.
Like,
listen, right? Here's my point. I wish one African country blow up, develops, and be the center of attention throughout the world, and her language take over the whole Africa. That's my point. I want that.
So to serve as an example for the other countries.
Exactly. I don't mind that in any way, shape, or form. But
a country in Africa to become like that, you need the support of other country.
A what?
You need some support from other country. Like you can't really have. Let's talk about Nigeria. I think it's the first African, one of the powerful country in Africa.
Sure,
right?
sure.
In economy,
In economy. For Nigeria to raise at that point and to try to compete with other countries. Only Nigerians and cannot do that. They need the support from other countries.
Yeah.
From small countries around. And that's how they can make it.
That's exactly why I say it's a work for centuries.
No,
maybe a century.
Yeah,
No.
so definitely it's going to take a long time. You know, it's a language we're talking about.
Yeah.
Comparing different.
If you really work on it, it can be possible. It's not something. If people agree to work on it, it can be possible.
So the process can be started already, but
I
we'll
think
see the
it's start.
results
I think
in
it's
maybe
start.
a
If
couple of
only
decades.
Tanzania and Kenya, they share Swahili together. If they come together, there's a third country again who speak Swahili. If they
Uganda also.
yeah,
parts of Uganda.
they have Swahili. If those three countries come together, right, not to unify, but have a common language, it'll be very powerful, and that's how they will try to challenge other countries.
Exactly. Okay, I want to come back on that. Like, I'm not against that idea. It's a way far-fetched, brother. Before coming to a linguistical coalition, you know, we have to have the USA, like the United States of Africa, first, and then it's a long process when you intermingle like languages, or when you want to officialize one language. You know how far should we go before that? You understand? It's possible, it's going to be made, but like it takes time. That's all I'm saying.
And effort.
Yeah,
So
it's
effort from all
It
countries.
takes time.
Yeah.
If we don't start, we never see the time. So the problem now is to start. Start
From somewhere, from the
from
base.
somewhere. Yeah.
Well, of course now.
Because
Ghana starts
if we say in high school or primary school, right?
Yeah.
Each and every country, you see it's difficult. It's not difficult.
Yeah, sure.
You have Rwanda. 20 years ago, Rwanda has a French as a national official language. Today they don't speak French anymore. They have English and Swahili. Yeah, Rwanda, they speak Swahili.
Yeah.
How they made it?
Well, I think we're talking about generalized Africa, not a specification.
We are talking about to go to the whole Africa. That's my point, is to start somewhere with 2 or 3 countries, and that's how it can work. Rwanda, they made it. 20 years ago, they spoke French was an official language, but today, like the younger generation,
The
people
dynamics have changed.
our age, they don't understand French. So that was, and today they speak English and Swahili. That's possible.
Yeah, so all this, basically all this shows that Africans, we should unite and we should work towards achieving unity in languages and economy, because it's going to benefit us a lot. And it's going to enable people to reach out to us since we're a unified nation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us your time and your energy on this topic. It's very important and we hope that you really benefited from it. So once again, I would like to state thank you all for your participation, and watch out for our next episode coming up soon. Good evening.